What's going on, guys? This is Computer635 on this one-time video I'm making. You guys know damn well that I do like disassembling things and such, and fixing them. But in this case, as I've done it many times already, 6 to be exact, I want to do it a 7th time, but with a camera showing what I do. So there's a certain type of animatronic that I have. It's Christmas related, and I have like 6 of them, and this will be the 7th one if it all turns out good. So what is the point of the video? Basically, I went to an antique shop where I go. If you guys saw my previous video, you guys will know, but I went to an antique shop and I bought this. A bell ringing Santa. Now this bell ringing Santa, to be exact, is a YIN-FA. I believe it's from the late 90s. It really doesn't have a proper, year or date, but it's usually a late 90s because of the way it's constructed. And let me get up a little bit and just check how the camera is going, because this is a one-time thing, so I really can do it twice. And yeah, it's amazing. It's actually what I needed. Just how I wanted. Okay, so basically, this little fella is going to be torn to pieces. Now, for all of those who are scaredy as shit, I gotta warn you, I'm not going to permanently break it, and I'm gonna take it apart and basically document how to do it, because there's a few steps that you gotta follow. Of course, they all vary within the model, and they're a little bit different, but these ones that have a candle and that have a this generic ass face, most of the times it's just the exact same procedure. It's really easy and it's really fun as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and begin by testing this out, which, as you guys know, I did test it out, and for that I have the battery adapters, which I put a AA and it turns it into a C. Yeah, the battery compartment on this one has something similar to corrosion. However, it's not corrosion. I don't think it is corrosion, because it would be blue if it was corrosion, but in this case it really doesn't get to the blue point. It's more of a white corrosion, so I think it could be due to some moisture or something related to that. You just never know. But anyways, I'm going to put the batteries right here, and I'll turn it on. As you guys can see, the switch is also kind of bad, and it's basically how can I explain it? It's basically a double problem on this case, because it's not only the way, it's the way the batteries make contact is just horrible, and to make it worse, the switch is bad. Now the switch, I may be actually cleaning it up, I don't know yet, but here we go. Alright, so if you know the toy, if you know what it makes, you may have noticed right away that it doesn't move, it doesn't walk nor ring the bell, and not even the motor works. So we have a few problems with it, check, besides the whole fact that this thing has to be cleaned up. By example, the face, the everything has to be properly cleaned up, even though I'm going to admit it. I am going to admit it right now. The thing actually is somewhat clean. It actually is somewhat like, I really haven't found anything dirty, and you know damn well that these things, I'm somewhat an expert on these things, and I really haven't seen one that has been cleaner than this. The thing seems super clean at some spots, but of course there's a few others that it needs cleaning, so regardless of how nice it looks like, it's going to be completely cleaned up. Now, what is the difference between the YIN-FA Santa Claus that I have, because this one's made by YIN-FA? What is the difference between the one that I have and this one? The only difference is literally that it has this toy sack. My other one doesn't have it, so that there is a little, difference, we can say it. So basically means that there's a lot of versions of the same goddamn toy. Now, I'll get up once again and check the camera because, as I've said, this is a one-time video, so I gotta make sure everything's well focused. I gotta make sure that the thing is, well shown in the camera, and I don't have an assistant to do that. So, it's a one-time thing, and I want to record it, and I want it to be self-explanatory. Now, I may do another little clips of the thing from the inside once I have it in pieces, but that we'll see. However, I'm gonna go real quick into the other side, and it turns out it's still fine. It actually is still fine. I don't know if the Santa Claus is covering my face. I think it might. It might. So I'm gonna put it right next to it. So, I guess we're all set to start. So, what is the first thing you gotta do when you buy one of these, or you find one of these, and, it basically turns out to be broken and you want to fix it up? It all depends on the issue, but mainly what I do with every single one of these is I take it completely apart, I clean it up, I lubricate the motor, I change the broken gears in case there are some, which in this one I'm pretty sure there are because the arm is loose and the legs are loose, and that isn't supposed to happen. It's either one supposed to be hard and the other one's supposed to be loose, or vice versa, but there's always one that has to be having the traction of the mechanism because he was stuck in some mode, either the bell ringing or the walking. We don't know yet. We're gonna find out. I have, as I've said, I have dealt with one of these before, so I know what to do. And the very first thing you may want to do is take the feet apart. Now the feet have 3 screws, and as far as I remember, they have a little frame on the inside. That's like a white frame, which is the thing that, makes them different from the rest. So, yeah, there's the middle screw. The screw that's on the very middle, it only lifts up the shoe cover. Now, the other 2 unscrew the bottom of the shoe. So that basically releases the wheels and lets you probably remove the upper half. So we're gonna take that off, and this one has a pink piece of plastic, which is pretty neat. And right now we're gonna see if I can actually take it off, which I may not. Nope, I can't. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull the foot really all the way up, and I'm gonna take this off. These are the shafts that connect to the leg. Well, not that connect to the leg. These are the shafts that do, they connect this part to the moving pieces because the front is always the one that moves. The back, it's just a loose. It's loose on an axis. That's basically what happens on this one. It just has this one so it doesn't lose balance. So you guys can probably see that if I move it, the other one does move, and if I force a little bit, it's going to start moving like this, so it means both are loose, both mechanism parts are loose, so there's something wrong there. Now, to make sure that nothing gets lost, I'll put everything here. I will probably clean the shoes up, even though I don't see it massively necessary, but I may just clean them up, so I don't have to bother. I may put these into vinegar, because they have a little rust, and that, can bother. There's also this. Of course, yeah, this goes right here. So here we have the pieces of the first foot, which would be the right foot. Now we're going with the left foot. The left foot, it's the exact same thing. There's not a change to it. So all we do is just follow the same steps, and we'll have our thing taken apart. In this one, I'll begin by the ones on the side, and from there, just proceed with the rest. As I've said before, there's other Santa Clauses that I have where this is much more unified and much crappier at the same time, because in the older Santas, you tend to see this sometimes and some other times not, because in the other Santas that I have, there's only literally the YIN-FA ones are the only ones I've ever seen. That one and the original NB Toys, because let me tell you all something before you guys start, going nuts. There is a legit NB Toys bell ringing Santa. It's marked Tianyi or Tianyi on the battery cover. Now, how do you know it is a Tianyi? It's pretty simple. it should have a blow mold candle. What do I mean with this? It's basically a blow mold white thing that it attaches to an orange blow mold, like a blown plastic thing, and you just clip it on. Other than that, Tianyi also made some that have light up eyes, some that have like a light up head. I mean, it all varies. It all varies because, as I said, NB Toys has made a bunch. All of the companies have always made bunches of these things. Anyway, so we have the feet off. What's the next step? Removing the bell. Now, the bell does have a little brown, in this case it's brown, it shouldn't be brown, it should be clear. Even though there's no rust, it kind of calls my attention, but for this I may actually need some other tool. Like example, a pair of pliers or a flathead screwdriver. So what do I do with this? I just pull it off, because this is basically a protective cap for, if you touch. Basically, it's for two things. It prevents rust, and it also prevents kids if the hand, because usually the hand is supposed to be covering this. It's supposed to be grabbing this by some kind of handle. If a kid touches this, and it's it has like a flap is up, he's gonna cut himself. And if that's rusted, it's gonna make it even worse. So first thing we do is we take that off, and it came extremely quick off. I'm just grabbing it. Okay, there we go. So the piece is off. That's done. So what we do now is, once we have that, we have to undo these two flaps, which are holding onto the wire off the arm. Pretty simple as well. I may just need a flathead or something and just pry from another place. And once I'm done with that, the bell should come right off, like this. Service. Anyways, from there, what we do is we take the hand off, and you guys can, I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's really discolored. The Santa Claus is actually really sun discolored, and it turns out it is. I thought that was how the skin was, but no, it's actually sun discolored, which reminds me a lot of my very first bell ringing Santa that I bought for, a serious collecting term back in 2012. Anyways, we have this one done. And what we do now is we check the candle. Now the candle, I know you cannot take it apart easily because, oh my god, all the fucking plastic is brittle right here. Yep. Okay, I'm gonna have to be really careful with this because the plastic is actually brittle. It's not breaking yet, but you can see the little lines when it's starting to like break from the inside. So I'm gonna have to be really careful about that. The little flame usually comes off. Some have it like a little hook. Some have it like this, where it's just a cover. It all depends. If you have a newer generic bell ringing Santa, it's more than likely a chance you can just pull the light out of the candle simply and take the candle off. In this case, it's impossible. So you get the point. I am trying to pull it off, and I think it does have a limit, so I'm gonna leave that right there. I'm actually just going to leave it like this. So what we do right now is we open the Velcro or the zipper on the very back, and what? Okay then. Just notice the body's actually open, and there's wires hanging out of there. I'll show you guys what I mean as soon as I get this thing open. So what I do right now, I prepare the beard, because the beard's actually really messy, especially on the older ones. It starts going down, so it looks really bad. And what I do is I just pull it down, and as I've said before, I have to take this off. Now that's the tricky part. As I've said, it's really tricky to take this particular arm off, but sometimes it just comes up right away. It's just a question of trying and trying, and if that doesn't work, then probably sliding it to the very back and turning it like this will release it. So with this like that, we can do this. We can actually just pull the arm, because right now there's not really a candle or anything, like a vertical candle keeping us away from taking that off. So we take this off. We also take this, of course. There we go. And once we have that, the candle's out of the vest right now. And let's see what else. Yeah, this is right, and of course we take the other one out. Now on these that have a pretty thick clothing, it's actually pretty tricky. So take your time and be patient. Anyway, so eventually you'll get to the point where you can see this. Now, what the hell is this? It's the Santa Claus naked. Now, this no longer has any use. There's nothing into it. So this will be taken to clean. And that'll be it. Now, Santa Claus. These have a little piece right here that I am not really sure yet of what is the whole intention of it, but I have a feeling this piece is supposed to go like this, pushing the arm down so that it stays in the position it is at, and they basically never put it on the factory. I don't know why. You know, like some Santas have like that foam covering on the arm. Maybe something like that, I don't know, but I have a feeling it's just to hold the hand down so it doesn't, you know, it doesn't lose the illusion that he's actually grabbing the belt. It seems loose. It actually is slightly open from one side, and the screw is actually out of its, you know, it's out of its trajectory, so I don't know if this thing has been open or not before, but I guess we'll find out. So we take the 3 screws. In this case, he's got 3 screws in the front, and this comes right off. Now, it's got pretty thick wires. I don't remember my other one being this thick on wires. I may have to replace a couple. So by opening it up, we already find I turned the motor a little bit, so it should actually start moving. So I turned it a little bit so that sometimes it unsticks the motor. Sometimes you need a little more than just that, but we'll see. As you guys can see, it's always this damn thing that... It ain't the switch. I'm pretty sure right now it's just this garbage that's causing it. There's got to be something related with this damn contact thingy it has. It's just causing it to do nothing. Of course, a little piece fell down, and that is for this arm. Thank goodness it waited for me to break off. I see there's a wire off, and that may be the reason why the motor is not working. However, I can see that there's already 2 broken gears. This gear right there, I may point it out with a little plier. This gear is broken, and this A-tooth gear for the motor shaft is also broken. I don't see any other relevantly broken gears, unless this one's broken, which I don't see it broken, so I doubt it. But yeah, he was actually on the bell ringing position, and that's basically how it's stuck till now. So you guys can see it doesn't even work. It doesn't even bother working. And oh, a wire just came off. How convenient. How fucking convenient. So the wire was already off the motor, so we'll try out... Oh, there we go. It's not going to do anything. It's literally not doing anything. Because it has 2 broken gears, and one of the gears is like the main gear that makes both actions. It's basically the one that goes up and down and touches with each, you know, gears. Because there's one gear that's connected directly to this shaft, makes it walk. Then there's another gear that is exactly the same size, but it's loose on that same shaft, and that basically touches with another gear that I assume it's a 12-tooth gear, either that or a 14-tooth gear, that attaches to the arm by a little lever and a little metallic piece. So what do we do now? Well, it's pretty simple. I'll turn the iron on, and we're gonna start desoldering things. Now, by the meanwhile, I'm gonna go ahead and take the head, you know, the head, what's this garbage called? The hat. I'm gonna take the hat off. So for that, we just, you know, take it off. As I've said, the glue on this thing is really old, so it comes off quite easily. It's the exact same cover that my other one has. which is a little speaker, so there's nothing new that has to be discovered. One thing, be careful with these because they tend to have hair stuck on them. This usually can be a nightmare. So what I'm going to do to save some time is cut it. Either cut it or use a knife to cut it, and we'll see what happens there. But what we do is just cut it open just cut it off, I mean, like this. And there we have it. So here's the head, another piece that has to get cleaned up. And now we are left with the head. Now the head seems to have hot glue residue inside the screw, which really does call my attention. It's something that could have happened in the factory. I know they usually tend to do these things, but it kind of calls my attention. I don't know why anymore. Alright, so basically, as this, I cannot really take it, I cannot really unscrew it because the cross is actually filled up with hot glue. I'm going to have to remove that. Either remove that or change the whole screw. Yeah, I just took it off. So we got the head screws going around. This is the one that is perfect, so all I got to do is just unscrew it. And it'll come off right away. Anyway, from there we are stuck with this. This right here, of course, is the board, the speaker. The board is actually on here. It's a little white board. The speaker, and be careful with the speaker. If the speaker's all right and it's a tiny one, I recommend to be careful because these have really old glue. And the glue, you guys know, during time, especially the glue they use in electronics, it tends to decay, it tends to rot, and once it rots, it no longer glues. So this may be alright, but you pull it a little bit and you literally just break the wires of the coil off, and you just stay with your chip, with the chip with the two wires in hand. So I don't recommend being really, aggressive to this. I recommend being gentle, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move it first to here, then to here, and there. This piece goes there, and I'll take the batteries off again. So that is basically until when the iron heats up, I'm going to continue with that. Now, what do we do for the bottom? Because we got to take the gearbox out of the body. So there should be two. There should be two little. In this case, there's a screw, but in some other cases, it's usually a shaft. But in this case, there's a screw on the side of the mechanism, especially precisely the motor shaft. The motor side, I mean. And you take that off. So you take that off, and that's practically it because I took the candle arm off. Candle arm is basically another shaft that holds it to this second placer right here. Now you guys can see all the wires are coming off. It's a mess because the thing is old, and it's, solder points on this thing are terrible. It's just stupid. This is pretty dark pink, actually. I think it's darker than how mine used to be. So we take that off. We don't need it anymore. I'm going to have to change the switch, clean the terminals with vinegar, and from there we'll continue. But what we do right now is we take the motor off. I mean, not the motor shaft here still, but the motor. We take the motor off, and that just requires me to push it down while I keep this flap, while I pull this flap to the back, because this flap is the one that keeps it in place. In some cases it tends to snap off, and in some other cases, if you're gentle, it won't. So as I've said, I recommend being gentle on that. Anyway, as there's a broken plastic, like a little piece in the mechanism. This should not have happened. What I was, meant to do if this thing would have been, fine, was that right here there are supposed to be two holes. In fact, I still have that piece here. So what basically happens is this little piece is like this. It's like that. There's two holes. Through the top hole, this shaft goes through, and there's two rings right here. Now, in order to take these two rings, you gotta kind of bend them. Sometimes it requires you to, just bend them a little bit and they will come right off. Some other times it's just sending the shaft, because the shaft has some teeth. But what you don't gotta remember is the order they go in, because first it goes the big. First, this one, because this is the one that just stays here. And then you have this one, which is the one that holds the thing. This is the one that retains the, even though they're slightly, like, you know, the hole size is a little bit almost the same. The tinier one tends to have a smaller hole, and that is for holding the shaft in place. So, you know, if you grab the Santa Claus from the arm just doesn't bend. You know, you get the point. Anyway, then of course there's this. You just turn it, or you put it straight like this, because it has a special, you know, mark, and you take it off. From there, this is not super necessary to take off. It all depends on the issue you have, but in this case, I don't see the gear broken at all, so I really won't bother in taking it off. The legs, of course, the legs have some tin rings. Actually, they have like little letters on them. Now, those tiny tin rings are going to have to be removed as well, because we're going to have to go into the gearbox to change this one specific gear that I was talking about. Once we go into that, of course, yeah, I take the leg off and everything, and I'll try to leave everything well ordered right here, so I know where everything goes. It goes at the back. It's a fact, but I just want to know how it all goes to assemble it to perfection once I'm done. And then we have the front. The front, the exact same deal, and all it needs is just a little bit of strength, and from there it just comes off. We take this off, and once we take it off, actually this one seems a little bent from this. Yeah, what the fuck? This is actually bent. Look at that. It's actually bent. This shaft is bent. Okay then, I guess I'm gonna have to... Yeah, I'm gonna have to unbend this damn thing. A little better, I guess. Not pretty sure, but I'm guessing it's a little better. It seems like somebody actually moved it forcibly, because it has like a little white stress line here, and the thing is cracking. Like the plastic has a little crack. I'll see if I can melt that together. So here's the gearbox. Gearbox now has, of course, I gotta take this gummy gear off. This is the second gear. Usually it's gummy to absorb the sound of the plastic gear that goes before that one, which is the motor shaft gear. It's usually like that, or the inverse thing, because some Wowie robots, the older ones especially, they do have a gummy pinion gear, and the other gears are just plastic. In this case, it's the complete opposite thing. This is the gummy gear, and it's not the first gear, it's the second gear. Now, there's there's 4 screws right here that you got to take off to access the gearbox, and from there you just got to count the number of teeth of the gear that you need, or the gears, and if you have them, that's right, that's fine, go ahead, change them, and if not, just or order them off eBay or off some place that you know that have them. In my case, as I cannot buy off eBay, I cannot buy anything from the US in Argentina, due to a kind of like it's a you know, a fear that I have, and at the same time it's a whole new thing. I really can't. But anyways, so it's not really necessary to remove this, as there's nothing split, but this is what we're gonna have to take off. This is the magic gear. That's how we call it. Well, that's how I call it. I also call it the selective gear, the double gear, and its function is to go up, because this one has 1 tooth less than this one, so this one goes up like this, and it has like a little slot. It touches like that, and it goes up, and then when it's done, it drops back down, because there's a spring retracting it. Anyway, that is actually split too. Okay then, thankfully it has the teeth where it goes to, but it's just split. And here we have the main gear that is split. The gear has 12 teeth. It's a 12-tooth gear. I'm pretty sure that I do have a particular 12-tooth laying around. From a battery-operated gun toy that I fixed up once. I'm gonna go ahead, be nice to this thing, and put a brand new 12-tooth gear. Now, I won't do it in this video. I have to drill a hole that's slightly bigger. I have to glue it. I have to glue the magic gear to the shaft as well, but I won't do it in this video. I'll leave that for, you know, for another video that will be like a follow-up video of what this thing has. Like right after I get done with this video, I'm gonna probably just go ahead and how's it called, and make a video of how this thing looks like from a closer view. Because you guys may be missing a few things that may be important. So from there we have this. I never really tend to leave the circuitry like this. I usually tend to cut all the wires and such, but in this case I want to do it, and I want to actually, you know, mark all of the connections of this in one sheet of paper. So it's a sheet of cardboard. It really has nothing of paper. It's just a damn piece of cardboard, but you get the point. So what I'm going to do right now in a couple of seconds is just draw everything. I'm going to draw how this thing goes, and once I have it, all I got to do is just desolder everything, and that's just how we go. So we've got the motor right here. Motor, there's a component which it already tells me the polarity, thankfully. So the component is like this. It has this like that, and the negative should be this one. So let's just say that to the negative there is a yellow wire, there is another yellow wire that goes to the head, maybe either to the light or to the chip. I'm pretty sure it goes to the light, because on these there's something that I don't understand is why do they have so many wires going through the head if they could only have two? What do I mean with this? Some of these do have a, of course, yeah, this one does. This one has a light up head. And what they do is they just connect the wires straight to the motor. Now they could avoid that, and they could just connect them to the positive and the negative terminals of the sound chip, just to save two wires. So they only use two wires instead of four. It's the most logical thing to do. But anyway, so here we have everything like the chip minus, the light minus. I'm going to actually do that modification, and it's only going to be two wires going to the head, which are probably the one red and the white are probably the ones that go to the, no, it's the two red. The two red wires are the ones that go to the chip. Now usually on these Santa Clauses, the, how is this garbage called? Okay, so the fuck? So the negative is actually the one that's, yeah. The negative is the one that is, but this doesn't make sense. Oh wait, it does. Negative, negative, negative. Okay, here we have all the negatives. Here we have the positives. The positive is the one that is interrupted by the switch, and the other one's the one that goes directly. So we have that set. The sound chip, I know the diagram of it. It's super simple, and I'm gonna show it right after I get done with desoldering these things off. All these, I should cut them. I'll be honest, I should really cut them instead of just wasting my time on breaking this stupid iron and being like, oh, I'm gonna solder these things. Because of course, applying heat like that, it's not really healthy for these things. I mean, when I was little, I used to have these issues where the motor contacts would, you know, melt off and shit. Of course, that was when I did not even know how to do something properly, and I would always mess up. But yeah, of course, then we have this, like that, and there we have it. Turns out the capacitor is actually not connected to the, like, it doesn't go through the holes of the terminals of the motor, so made it a whole lot easier. That's actually good, pretty good. And yeah, I guess from there we have the motor. Motor has to be lubricated. The A-tooth gear has to be replaced because it's a split, and you just take it off with your finger. We take this off, and I think we already have everything. So here's the arm with the light, which we're going to take off, and here's the wiring for the head. As I've said, two wires for the chip, for the musical chip, and two wires for the light. So I've said yellow and white are for the light, and red and another red are for the positive and the negative of the chip. Now I know this far too well because all of these Santa Clauses that beep have this type of chip. It's usually a chip that is connected, that it has a negative that is connected to one of the leads of the transistor. Then you have to the first lead of the transistor, or the middle one. In this case, it's the first one. You have the negative of the speaker, and then you have this contact right here, which it connects the main positive and the speaker positive. Now in this case, as I've said, I will modify it so these wires will be shortened up, and they will be either that, or I'll just leave them like that and I'll hide all the wiring inside the head, but they will be connected to the negative and the positive of the chip. The speaker, I should go ahead and actually replace it because it looks rusted. It looks like either corroded, decayed, it looks bad, so I may actually replace it so it lasts a whole lot more. But yeah, there you have the chip. Capacitor, transistor, wires, light bulb, no biggie at all. This, you guys probably know how to do it. You just gotta unsolder these wires, you know, unbend these things and take them off and clean them and such. And the last thing I should be left to show is how to take this off. It's pretty simple. Just take it off like that. And the hand usually, it doesn't come off easily, so you may have to wiggle it a little bit. Or if you don't have enough time, just push it to the inside, like basically make the loop tinier. Because the thing is bent like this, it's like a hook. What you gotta do is make it smaller so it actually can pass through the hole of the hand, like the hole of the rubber hand. I know it ain't correct to do it this way, but I'll do it with my pliers and with the paper so I don't damage the rubber in the hand. And I guess right now it should actually go off. Yep, there we go. The hand is gonna go to clean as well. And I guess that's practically everything. Then we just take the light off the candle and there we have it. This is the YIN-FA Santa Claus ripped to parts. And we're going to basically see it working soon because right after this video, I'm going to make a follow-up video showing all the things and how everything is in you know, its current condition. And from there, I'm going to start fixing it up. It will take a couple of days because I don't have that much free time as I used to. I do have a little bit of, you know, taken time, we can call it. Especially because tomorrow I gotta wake up early, but yeah. I'll make my best to show each individual thing of this Santa Claus. So anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and more videos to come. So stay tuned and thank you for watching.